Episode 150, Ester Maria Segretto. Ester Maria Segretto is a photographer and author. She's an Italian-American who, like myself, celebrates the culture and food, but finds herself at odds with the conservative political undertones that often accompany it. Thanks to organizations like PIACE and Italians Against Fascism and others, we've been finding our people and each other. Please welcome to the show, Ester Maria Segretto. What's up, everybody? So, Edinburgh Fringe Festival is upon us. My Fringe run starts August 6th and runs through August 30th. I'm part of the Free Fringe, so if you're heading to the Edinburgh Fringe, you don't need tickets, just show up. My show is at 3:45, August 6th through 30th at Westport Oracle. You can get more information at my website, ronplacone.com. Also, Left at Wall is available now. If you have not seen my movie Left at Wall yet, you can watch it for free on YouTube, free with ads, or Tubi. It's on a bunch of different platforms too, but I recommend YouTube or Tubi because it's free there. And last but certainly not least, I want to say thank you so much to everyone who came out this past Saturday to our anti-fascist pasta celebration. We did an actual anti-fascist pasta night on Saturday, July 25th. And shout out to everyone in San Pedro who came out, everyone who made the trip to Pedro Town to celebrate with us. Thanks to all the comics and all the musicians and everyone who just helped make the night amazing. I can't even describe it. I mean, I wrote a Substack piece about it. It was just cathartic in a way that words cannot describe. And it was such an honor to be part of something that is such a special tradition all around the world now, and to have our own little spin on it right here in Pedro Town in Southern California. It was amazing, and thank you so much to everyone who made it happen and gave their talent and their love, and Cono San Pedro for the amazing catering. I just can't thank you so much for being there and being part of it. The night ended with a rendition of Bella Ciao, which was just so beautiful, and I was pretty toasty at that point and had no business singing in Italian or at all, but it did not matter because it was all of us at that point. So thank you so much for being part of it and giving the world a little bit of hope in a very struggled time. So that was so incredible and so awesome to celebrate that with all of you. Always anti-fascist. Fascism has always and will always lose, and it's always good to have a reminder of that. Ester Maria Segretto, how are you? Good to see you again.
Good. How are you doing? Thank you.
I'm doing wonderful. So I'm excited to talk to you. It was so cool to meet you earlier this month at the PIACE event, which we'll be talking some more about that. But I like to start at the beginning. So give me a bit of an origin story. Where are you from?
I am from New York City. I'm from Queens, New York. Born and raised, still here. I grew up in an Italian immigrant family in Queens. As did many people in Queens. It was a time and place where everyone self-identified as some hyphenate of American, Italian American, Irish American, Chinese American. That's how it was. I mean, so, it still is.
Are you first generation then?
I am. My parents were both born and raised in Italy, Sicily.
Okay, what part of Sicily?
My mother is from the province of Enna, in a town called Leonforte. Mm-hmm. So it's right kind of smack in the middle of the island. No beaches, no Sicilian coastline and beaches in that part.
Sure.
And my father is from Abruzzo, in sort of central Italy.
Yes.
Still very culturally southern, but, geographically.
But such a pretty area, and so underrated because it's often in Tuscany's shadow, but so cool.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah, it's wildly beautiful.
Did they speak Italian in the house when you were growing up?
Yes, actually, Italian was my first language. I spoke Italian before I spoke English. I remember being a little kid, and I was the youngest of all my cousins. And at a certain point, one of my cousins was worried for me. She's like, "You're going to school. You have to learn English."
Wow.
Like nursery school and kindergarten is coming up, so we need to work on this.
Do you have kids?
No.
You don't have kids? Okay. Do you? Because I don't have kids either, but I have a niece and nephew, and I'm not fluent, but I'm conversational, and I try to teach them, like I get them books and stuff. And my niece actually goes, my nephew doesn't because he's too young still, but my niece goes to an Italian daycare center where they do kind of teach them some language, like they do. So she'll randomly she'll just start counting in Italian. And she always says ciao to me because she knows Uncle Ron really likes it when she says ciao. So yeah.
That's so amazing.
But
so I think it's safe to say if I did have kids, I probably would try to teach them at least a little bit. But I just have cats, so they don't,
Yeah, I mean, but you can, you can try to like tell them food in Italian or something like that. See how they react. Teach them a couple words. I might try to do that. I have two kittens right now, or well, technically they're not kittens anymore, but they're a year, so they're still very young. So I might try to do that. And one of them is named Livorno, so I feel like he should respond to some Italian words.
Right.
I feel like he's got to. So what made your parents come over? Like, was it economic, or was it just like other family in New York, or what was kind of the story?
I think it was different for each of them. I think for my mother's side, sure, economics in both of those regions were the reason why anyone came over. Sure. On my mother's side, there were she had two uncles who came like 3 uncles actually who came like 20 years, 30 years before them. So they had, they had a foundation here. So they fortunately didn't have to come here blind, starting from absolutely nothing. In ways they did, but they had family to come to. They had family to stay with until they got their first apartment, But yeah, ultimately, post-war Italy was a mess,
Yep.
It took until about the 60s for, what they called the miracle, the economic miracle to start happening. And, they came here in 1956. So it was still, there was still
so maybe had they stuck it out a little while longer.
Right.
maybe they were just a few years off.
Right. But in the smaller towns, it's still rough. It's still hard to get jobs, and most of the young people either move to the north to go to school or to get jobs, or they leave as well. They go to England or wherever. So I suspect it still would have been a bit of a struggle, or at least a hard patch before they got to the good stuff.
Yeah, no, totally.
Yeah.
So you go to school. When did you start developing an interest in writing and photography and all the creative stuff you found your way to?
Well, writing I never thought I would do.
Really?
To be completely honest. But photography always, since I was a little kid. I always had a camera. My parents always, gave me some sort of a small, kid-friendly camera that I could, film in those days. So that was always a big part of what I did. I always, meticulously kept my photo albums and whatnot until when I was in high school. And I started taking it seriously and decided that was what I wanted to do. And, had to tell Italian parents that I wanted to go to art school. So
how did that go?
At first, not very well. I think my mother was always supportive, but concerned.
Sure.
My father was absolutely not. You're going to be poor.
What did he want you to do?
Oh my God. Since I was like a toddler, he was convinced I needed to be in computers. I don't think he even know what that meant. You know, it's the early 80s. So all he knew was that that was how I was going to make it. Computers.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah. So he wasn't into that. But I think slowly my mother, come around to that idea. So
you got to go to art school.
I did. Went to art school in New York City in the 90s. So that was a pretty interesting time to go to art school in New York City, I think.
What was the vibe like then? Because that was when Giuliani started cracking down, right? Like was that
yeah?
So what was kind of like what was the overall just vibe there at that point?
I mean, I guess it's funny because, when you compare to what is happening in the world now, when you look back, it's almost hard to compare. And, we had a lot of fun. It was, when you're 20, you're still like so immersed in the music scene and the art scene, and it's easy to not get wrapped up in some other stuff that's happening politically, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
Not that wasn't always a part of my life. It's just that I think we maybe didn't understand as much that that was the beginning of
right. Yeah. Nobody knew it was coming around the corner. Like no one kind of knew that. Yeah. No, I hear you.
Yeah.
Well, so what happens post art school then? What comes next?
I worked in photography for a little while with the school I graduated from, and I was there for a while, and then I left photography for a little while, and I was like, I don't know if I want to do this, but then I got back into it in a big way, and I kind of merged two of my passions of photography and music, and I started doing music photography. So I spent many years shooting live music, live bands, all over New York City. So that was a big part of my life. Music.
Were you just freelance at that point, or were you with an outlet?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Well, freelance, but shooting for magazines or for the bands themselves. So that was really exciting to get to do that and to be a part of sort of upcoming music, and but also to get to photograph those bands that
who were some of your favorites?
So important. I got to photograph Bauhaus. I got to photograph The Cure. I got to photograph, 9 Inch Nails, and all those bands that sort of meant everything to me growing up. So
Robert Smith strikes me as a very, very just amazing human, and I would love. I hope to have him. I mean, it'll be a reach, but I hope to have him on this show someday before the series is over. And like,
oh my God, that'd be amazing.
He just strikes me as just such like a pretty amazing person. I mean, the way did you see how he like went to task with Ticketmaster? And he like called them out on their bullshit, like single-handedly. He was like a British singer is more effective than our entire antitrust of our government. He just like went to town, and it was freaking beautiful. Well, so let's get into how we found each other.
Right.
So we met at an event with the organization PIACE, and then we had connected prior to that online. Right. And how would you describe PIACE to people? Like, because I've talked about it before on this show, so I want you to like put it in your words.
I feel like it's a place that maybe a lot of Italian Americans needed, or maybe didn't even really know could exist, because they probably always felt sort of alone in the Italian American community, as I did, for the simple reasons that, politically, never saw eye to eye with the community, therefore never really felt in community with them, even though I always held that identity with a lot of pride, but it was hard for me to engage with the Italian American community because they are historically, or modern historically, so conservative and right wing, and unfortunately now MAGA. So I think it's, I would say it's a place where people can come together of all walks of life, and identifying in any way as Italian American, to talk about more progressive ideas. And there's a lot of people that use their art to show their identity as well. So it's just really great seeing people showcasing their music, their dancing, their art, their photography, whatever it is that they do. I know that was a really long tangent explanation.
No, it was great. I mean, I have quite a commute being based in LA, but fortunately the timing worked out and I was able to catch that event. And for me, it almost felt like just a giant group therapy session that I never.
Oh, most certainly.
Possible, it was so cool, and hearing everyone's stories, it was just like a giant, much needed hug, because it's a pretty particular experience when you think about it. Like, it's pretty niche. Like, it's like, oh yeah, we're like lefties. Well, that already you're in the smallest political group, and we're Italian American. Okay, well that's a little broader. Yeah, but like there's this weird reactionary vibe around the Italian American identity that's based on nothing, and we're finally being loud about this and fighting back. Like it's very niche, but it matters to a lot of us, and that's been so freaking cool to be a part of.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's just, I think I backed away, I think, from that identity probably in my 20s, because I didn't know how to sort of engage with people that were always so hostile about, what my views or what I did, or, even just, talking about New York City became this like hostile conversation, because, they always treated it like this den of crime and murder. And I'm like, I don't know what you're seeing. I walk down the street every day, perfectly safe. And, so just even on the most basic level, it was hard to relate to a lot of people.
Yeah, I mean, and for me, it was actually 20s as well. Like, I wonder why. I mean, I don't know if it's just like I don't know if it's just part of getting older or what it is, but it's the same thing for me. I always really celebrated it, and I always really loved, the food and everything, and just the culture around it. And then in my 20s, I kind of, stepped away from it a little bit after stepping into it more than ever before, because it's like around that time, like I went to Italy for the first time and learned about, learned more about the Renaissance, and learned about like who Boccaccio actually was and what he was doing, and all this other stuff where I'm like, oh, this is badass, and connecting it to, being Italian American and what have you. But then, sort of for all all the same reasons you brought up, there was also just this, like, then you go home and it's just like, well, we celebrate Columbus because history doesn't matter, and you just kind of find yourself walking away from it. And then, well, did you have, like, let me ask you this. Did you have a moment, and it doesn't have to be like super particular, but maybe just like a broadly particular moment where you kind of were just like, fuck this, they don't get to have this. This is ours too.
Yeah, and then this goes, I think, into the book. It eventually goes into the book. Is I think so. In the beginning of 2020, my dad passed away right before COVID hit, like 2 months before COVID came to New York, like crazy.
Condolences.
Oh, thank you. And it really sort of gave me the opportunity to grieve without society's expectations, that I move on. We all had that space, whether we wanted it or not, during COVID, to not go out in public, to not, engage in social activities, to not go into in-person work and things like that. So I really started to delve deep into ancestry. Now, being first generation, I wasn't removed, like I didn't know where I came from. I knew all those things, but I delved deeper into who were the people beyond my grandparents because I never met beyond my grandparents, because they didn't come here. My grandparents were here, my parents were here, but nobody, beyond. So as I delved deeper into ancestry, I also delved deeper into history, Italian history, Sicilian history. And the more I learned about my family, and the more I learned about the history of the places that they came from, the more I realized that there's so much more to it than what we're shown, in the media, online. And I think that is also when I started re-engaging with the language itself. Because after everyone that I spoke Italian to was gone, I didn't speak Italian, so I lost so much of that. So I almost like taught myself Italian again, and through things like just watching only like Italian language like shows and movies to sort of like re-engage my brain with it. And the more I became the more I came back to that culture and that identity, the harder I grieved for that community that I felt like wasn't there. And it was sort of that question, like I can't be the only one, it's not possible. There has to be other people that think like me and that are going through these same things. I found, people online that, whether it's through Instagram and whatnot, and realized that there was people out there. And there was a lot of people out there, and they were really cool. And I wanted to surround myself with these people that I didn't think existed when I was a kid,
Right.
Yeah. But also it made me sort of angry that there was this notion in the Italian American community that, all we wanted to identify with was food and the mob, and
right.
And that we were all like reactionary conservative characters. And I started piecing sort of together that history and that ancestry and seeing just how much fascism, Italian fascism, and that regime really, really explains so much about my family and just the community in general, and that there was this pain that is carried through generationally that people aren't willing to look at, or they don't even realize that, you know, the anger that they're seeing maybe in their family is really carried over from lots of things that were brought over to this country, you know, and it just, I got mad enough that I decided I couldn't help but take these stories and turn them into something real that, you know, maybe it could resonate with someone who saw themselves or their family members in these characters, or maybe even better for me was someone that didn't see themselves or anybody in their family in these characters, and understood that these are, you know, real things that changed entire generations of people. And you know, it takes generations to recover from, you know, fascist regimes and all sorts of, you know, political movements like that.
So why do you think, like this is something that I've been wondering, and I actually like had this conversation with some of the people after the event that we were all at. Like, why do you think now all this is happening to the level it is? Like why are gatherings like this happening now?
You mean like the lefty Italians?
Yeah, but more. I mean, lefty Italians, and then even just more broadly. I mean, you kind of see that everywhere else too, you know, like it's like, hey, we're taking country music back because this is bullshit. Hey, we're taking, like Italian Americans aren't monoliths. So why do you think like now this is happening?
I guess because it's getting to this fever pitch where people realize that if they don't do that now, if they don't show the world, I guess people have to start within the communities that they know. So it's kind of like, I'm in this community and I need to show this community that there's more. That we are not just how the media portrays us. We are not as how we're categorized. So I think that everybody's sort of getting to that point where they're like, yeah, there are people who love country music, but also love democracy.
Aren't fascist.
Yeah. Just like there are people who love their Italian identity, but realize that we can never go back to fascism because that's, you know, that had caused so much damage to this country that we claim to love, Italy, and then we want to sort of do the same thing to our country. You know, it's like there was enough war movies made, I think, for people to understand what happens. You know,
well, and also there's like such a cognitive dissonance, like towards. I mean, you look at what's going on in Italy right now, the way they've been shutting that country down for Palestine and stuff, and it's freaking beautiful to see.
Yeah, absolutely.
And yet, you know, like the most, I guess, powerful and most, you know, quote, representative of Italian American identity, it's like that doesn't even exist. Like they just pretend like they don't even go far. They don't even go as far to say like, hey, even Italy's fascist prime minister thinks that our guy's too far beyond the pale. Like they don't even go that far. Right.
It's, and the things that so many, you know, Italian American organizations celebrate I mean, it just leave me shaking my head, and I'm kind of like read the room, guys. Like, do you not see what's happening? So all those sorts of things, they just sort of, they make me angry and they make me sad and they make me, I feel real grief over that tendency for the Italian American community to glorify fascism, whether it's real fascism that they're glorifying or just, ideas of it. And I think that's what keeps drawing me back to finding like-minded people. Because I think, together you can sort of get that narrative out to a wider public, that like, hey, we're here, we exist. Like, some of us are not pining for the days of Mussolini.
Or his granddaughter, or
yeah.
So is this how Born of Earthquake and Volcano kind of came to be? Like, and
yeah.
Give me the skinny on the book.
Well, it's inspired by the lives of my parents, but it is fictionalized.
Mm-hmm.
It's historical in nature as far as, the battles that I talk about really happened, and the timeline is how it happened. And there are definitely some real stories and real truths that I knew, but they had to be mixed in with fiction, because obviously I don't know exactly what happened. My parents didn't talk about the war. And
were they partisans?
No.
No? Okay.
No. My father was very conservative.
Okay.
But not like politically minded necessarily. Like, he just didn't want anything to do with politicians, but he was very conservative. But I had these like stories sort of swirling in my head, and it got to the point where I felt like I was going to go crazy if I didn't get these stories out in some way. And the stories like snowballed into a novel. And so it follows these two characters from their childhood through to their adulthood. It's a dual timeline, so it follows them from like the 40s, to the 70s, and then there's a present day timeline, which is their daughter, basically, sort of discovering all these things and, kind of finding out not just about her family, but really about the history, what really happened, what happened in those days that nobody wanted to talk about. So it reflects that time that I just spoke about earlier of me, doing all that research and whatnot. And yeah, I sort of got angry enough that I felt like I needed to get it out there in the world. So
from a like creative project standpoint, you mentioned you're like, oh, I never thought I'd do a book. Right. As far as it comes, like when it comes to like just the dissemination of ideas, when did you have that moment, and how were you just decided, oh, this is going to be documented and this is going to be a novel, and that's just the direction I'm going to go. That's the outlet necessary to get this out there.
Well, it didn't happen all at once. I think, like in the beginning, I didn't even call it a book. I didn't call it a novel. I would just say like this story that I'm writing, because I wasn't exactly sure what it was going to be. I knew that I wanted to sort of get those perspectives of what it was like for a little kid, living through that, and what that means, what that meant for them as an adult, like kind of like, what does that do to you, and what does that do to further generations? So as I sort of got those, hashed out those stories that I knew, and then as I learned more and more history, was able to fill in what I didn't know with what was historically correct. And then it just made sense to add sort of that present day perspective, because ultimately my fear was that we were going back to that place that I was writing about. So it was sort of like dealing with what happened in the present day, but also fearing that it's going to happen again. So it just kind of, it snowballed into a novel. I was not a writer. I was not someone that was like, I'm going to write a book one day. It just happened, and I loved doing it.
You're a writer now.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I loved doing it, and I am very proud that I did it. And I don't know. I hope I did the time period justice. That's all I can say.
Well, how do we prevent going back to that place? I know that's a pretty loaded question. You don't have to like. But... Yeah,
I mean, but I think, on one hand, I feel like some people are so far down the right-wing rabbit hole that no amount of education on a topic or will help. But I do feel like there are still many people who, it's not that they refuse to know, they just don't know. So the more conversations that we can have about whether it's like a personal story or whether it's just conversations about history and what that means for the present. I think I'd like to think that there are still people that are not too far gone to for that to resonate with them, for that to spark something in them that they might want to make a change somewhere.
All right, so this one's a lot lighter than that last one. Someone's on their way to Sicily. They can only go to one place in Sicily, though. Where do you tell them to go? I never said it was easier. I just said it was lighter.
Right. Okay, so they can only go to one place, even though it is not my ancestral town. I will say probably Palermo.
Yeah, I've actually never been, and Palermo just seems so freaking cool.
Palermo is amazing. I just remember the first time I went there, and I texted my cousins, they were like, they wanted updates every day. What city are you in now? And and when I got to Palermo, I just remember saying, this place is amazing. It's wild. It's just like, it has this crazy energy that is not for everyone. I will say there are some people that go there and hate it, but I do love Palermo, and it's so alive, and it is so packed with history. So you can really learn so much about the history of the island and the culture of the island and the language of the island, which wasn't always Italian.
Mm-hmm.
And you can still go to the beach.
Yes.
You don't have to miss out on your Sicilian beach vacation, and you can still get an education if you go to Palermo.
That is awesome. Well, so tell everybody where they can find the book. Tell everybody where they can follow you. Plug away.
Okay. Well, you can find me on Instagram at Ester Maria Segretto. My book is available on paperback, at all the biggies that, don't need a plug, but it also is available at a couple of my favorite indies, McNally Jackson and Strand. And then, also ebook is available on Kindle and Apple Books.
And it's Born of Earthquake and Volcano.
Born of Earthquake and Volcano.
Such a cool title. Yeah, there we go. Oh, there it is. Yeah. Yes.
There it is.
Wonderful.
So.
Love it. Esther, thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. This was amazing.
That was Ester Maria Segretto. Check out all of her stuff. Be sure to follow her. Music for the 1000 podcast is provided by Andrew Saxena. Be sure to check out his podcast, the Baywatching Podcast, wherever you get your podcast. Please do leave us a 5-star review. Make sure you're subscribed, especially if you get this show on YouTube. They unsubscribe people all the time. If you want to support this show on the sustainability end, you can do so over at patreon.com/ronflacone. For Get What You Can Love, you get all kinds of cool stuff. I'm doing full Zoom shows on a regular basis for patrons. We have a really cool community going. You get insider information on shows and events and films, and you get the 1000 episodes before they're released to the public. So we got a really cool community going. Patreon.com/ronflacone, a Give What You Can level. All right, episode 150. We have started another decade. We've made it. We're at 150, which is, that much closer to 200. I get the numbers keep going. I feel like I started this show. You know what I realized I need to pre-record a bunch of episodes. I need to get a bunch of episodes locked and loaded because I'm going to be in Edinburgh, Scotland, and it'll be really hard for me to produce episodes from Scotland. And I realized, how did I handle this last time I did The Fringe? And I realized that last time I did The Fringe, this show wasn't around yet. So, I mean, it feels like this show started yesterday. Meanwhile, it's been 150 episodes. The last time I did The Fringe, it didn't even exist. So it's wild. I mean, this really gives you an interesting concept of time, doing a project like this. But yes, we will see you next week. Stay safe. Peace.